I thought, okay, something, this is different. Yah's using some terms that I've never seen before because I usually read in English back in the day. But now that I'm reading in Hebrew, I'm seeing a little bit more than what I've ever seen. Do you guys remember me telling you about a term called Na'um? You guys remember that term that I would say called Na'um?
I remember the term. I don't remember the meaning.
Okay. So let me get somewhere. Let me share my screen right here. All right, go. All right. All right. So a Na'um. I wanted to give you the definition before I move on. If I can get this thing to work right quick. All right, man. All right, I guess I got to write it with my finger. Got no time to waste. All right, so N-E-U-M. I believe this is the way you spell it. Na'um, okay? What a Na'um is, yes, good. What a Na'um is a prophetic declaration, okay? So Yah speaks in several different ways. He'll speak with this word, Devar, all right, Devar, and Yah said, okay, Yah spoke. Then he has this other word called Amor, or which they call Amar, okay? Lamor, that means saying, okay? Okay, and the word of Yahweh came to me, the word, the Devar of Yahweh, and he's saying something, okay? That's different than a Na'um. A Na'um is what they call a prophetic declaration. That means that I'm going to tell you something that's going to happen, it's going to come to pass. And it's not going to happen when I'm writing, it's going to happen later. And that's the benefit of a prophet writing, okay? So it says the word of Yahweh came to me saying, so right now he's just using the word of Yahweh saying, it's not prophetic. This is Yah talking to him right now. He says, go proclaim to Jerusalem. Thus saith Yahweh, I accounted to your favor the devotion of your youth, your love as a bride, and how you followed me in the wilderness. Our Torah portion is we're at the end of our journey where he talks about how they were with him for 40 years. So Yah is saying, I remember your devotion when you were young, right? You used to love me, your love as a bride, and you followed me, okay? And in a land that was not sown, okay? So in the desert, there's nothing growing, zippo, nothing of anything that you, like a garden, you wouldn't put a garden out in the desert. There's nothing growing there, okay? So this is what he says. And then he says, Israel, I want you to remember that in a land not sown. Wilderness and a land not sown. That means no one's living there. He said, Yisrael, okay, not Israel, Yisrael was Kadosh to me. Kadosh is Yisrael to Yahweh, okay? That's who they are. He says, the Reshith Tavuoth. That means that you are my first fruits of his harvest. Okay. So he's mentioning a land not sown in the wilderness. Then he tells you that you're his first fruits of his harvest. Okay. Where is the first fruits of his harvest? Where did he plant you in order for you to be his first fruits? Okay. Of his harvest. Continue. All who ate of it were held guilty. And according to the text here, it says all who did eat of him, they're going to have this, what is a shamu. A shamu has to do with guilt, okay? He said that they're going to be guilty. Whoever eats of this first fruit of, which is Yahweh's people, which is Yisrael, Yah says that they're going to be held guilty. Okay. And evil, ra'ah, okay, R-A, ra'ah, that means evil, okay, not just disaster, evil will come on them. And then he says, Na'um, Yahweh. Ne'um. There it is right here. So when he says Na'um Yahweh, he's giving a prophetic declaration about what's going to happen to the individuals that have eaten of this first fruit. He considers us a first fruit harvest. We're the first of his planting. What else does he say that comes out the womb belongs to him? What comes out the womb?
Firstborn son and animal.
Firstborn sons of human and animal. Good job. Human and animal. Okay. What else? And that comes out the ground, right? So he asks for the firstborn of the human, he asks for the firstborn of the animals, and he asks for the firstborn that comes out of the ground. So that could be, when he says Tavuoth, right here is what you will call for a harvesting of Yovel, meaning the first season of something being planted. So anybody who's ever put their hands on that which belongs to Yahweh is considered guilty. And he's saying this because he's letting someone know about what's going to happen. Okay. Verse number 4, he says, and that's the first Nahum. I want you to write that down if you have a piece of paper. So the first one is in verse number 3. That's the first Nahum. That's the first prophetic, and that means future. So what he's letting us know, in the future, whoever ate of Yisrael and took part of my first fruits, they're going to be held guilty, first of all, and then evil is going to come upon them. That's what this word ra'ah means. R-A-A-H. That means evil, okay? Misery is going to come upon them. Verse number 4. So that's the first one. Verse number 4. Hear the word of Yahweh, okay? This word Shemu right here, like where our word Shema, there's Shema right there, but he's talking about Shemu. He's talking to a group of people, and he says, hear the word of Yahweh, house of Yaakov. That's the Beit Yaakov, house of Yaakov. That's what, and it's a command. It's not just regular open your ear, it's a command. I need you to hear. In every clan or mishpachah, every family out of the house of Israel. Okay. So it's not just representing the 12 tribes, but every family within those tribes. I need you to listen to what I'm about to tell you, because this is a command from Yah. He says, thus saith Yahweh, Amar Yahweh, that what wrong did your fathers find in me? That's the question. Here's our word. Ma, what? What did your fathers, your ancestors, the Avothekim, what did they find wrong with me? Okay. He says that they abandoned me and they went after what? They went after delusion and were deluded. So this delusion that he's talking about in verse number 5, and I'm sorry if I'm moving quickly because we have to get through these Nahums. He's saying that these that they went after that which is which you call hahavel. And this word right here means a vapor. It means to be a breath. It's the same word or name for Adam's son called Havel. Remember, his name wasn't Abel, his name was Havel, meaning vapor. Okay. So he's saying that you guys are going after a guy will hear delusion, but it's really a vapor, and you're deluded by this. You guys are going about something that just really just nothing like a puff of wind. That's all it is. It doesn't really exist. Okay. And he says they've never asked themselves, where is Yahweh? The individuals. He's talking to the house of Yaakov and the families of Israel. They never asked, where is Yahweh? We're going to spend a lot more time on this word, aye. Okay, aye right here means where. Where is Yahweh? They never asked this question. They never asked who brought us up from the land of Mizraim. They never asked who led us through the wilderness. Okay. They never, okay, a land and deserts and pits and a land of drought and darkness and a land that no man has ever traversed, where no human being had dwelt. The question would be is why would he mention this, them not asking, where is he? That's the question he's asking. Why didn't they ask, where am I? The reason why they're not asking is because they're going after that which doesn't exist. Okay. And he's asking, what was the problem that your ancestors found wrong with me for you guys not to be able to ask these questions? So the questions that he wants us to ask is, where is the Elohim who brought us up from the land of Mizraim? That's number one. And because this is the key signature to letting us know who is our Elohim. The second thing is, who led us through the wilderness? So when you and I are going through the Torah portion and we're seeing the experiences they had in Mizraim, we're seeing the experience that they had through the wilderness, we're seeing all these things. And he's letting them know again that, look, you guys would know that where you were, it was nothing but deserts and pits and drought and darkness, and no man has ever traversed and no human being had ever lived there. What I got from this is that Yah's letting us know that Israel is so different than every other person or every type of people on the face of this earth, that you and I have lived in a place that no one else has ever lived. That means that in a place of solitary, okay, like solitary confinement, and it's really a place of what they would say loneliness. And Yah has brought them there and in a place where nothing really truly, has been planted. Well, we're going to find out that Yah did plant something. He did plant something in that desert, okay? And what he did plant was us, okay? Because he took us out from Mizraim and he brought us out to the wilderness for 40 years. And he planted us there. And with the results that he was getting, it kind of shocked him about how did these people end up being the way that they are, okay? So the question is where is this Elohim at? He said, I brought you to this country, okay? A farmland. That's where I brought you. I brought you here, okay? And I brought you here to do several things. I brought you here to enjoy its fruit and its bounty, but you came and you defiled my land and you made my possession abhorrent, okay? How did they do this? Well, according to our Torah portion, I don't know if you guys read there so far. Did you read where he talked about if a person killed someone? Or is that for tomorrow? Did anyone read that? How you have to have cities set aside for the people who committed accidental murder or homicide. Did you guys read that yet?
Cities of refuge.
Yes, I read it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 6 cities that's supposed to be for refuge, right?
Right.
And they're supposed to give 42 cities plus the 6 gives them 48 cities. And that's for the Leviim. Okay.
Mhm.
And these cities were for people, 6 of these cities. 3 were on one side of the Yarden where Reuven and his family was, and God and Manasseh, the half tribe, and the other 3 was going to be on the other side of the Jordan with the other 9.5 tribes. Okay,
Right.
so when you get there, he says if anybody kills anybody on an accident, then they had these cities to flee to, city of refuge, until things were held, till a trial was held. So when he says here that I brought you to this land, a farm land, to let us know exactly what kind of land it is. I brought you there to enjoy its fruit and its bounty, everything is supposed to be brought forth. But when you came to the land that I brought you to, you defiled my land, okay? The defilement of Yah's land is in several different ways. One of the first things that you can defile Yah's land with is bloodshed, okay? And the bloodshed of that is the innocent bloodshed, okay? If there's bloodshed and it's done, innocent blood is shed, you defiled the land. And Yah doesn't allow that to happen in the land. So basically what he's telling us here in Jeremiah is giving us a clue on how the land was defiled, according to our Torah portion, okay? The land is defiled by a man marrying a woman that he divorced, that he put away, and she went with another man, and he said, hey, you can't have that woman back. That will defile the land, okay? You can't mix like that. If someone killed someone and you didn't kill them, you defiled the land. Okay. And more specifically, if the person was guilty, the person who comes upon them of their family is supposed to kill them on the spot. On the spot. Okay. If they're innocent or they haven't went to trial yet and they don't have any hatred in their heart, they would go to those cities and have to wait till trial. Then if they were found innocent, okay, based on the information that was given, they would be able to live in those cities of refuge, but they could never leave those cities. Okay. The priests never asked themselves. So here's another thing. Now the Hakonim, they didn't ask the question either. They never asked themselves, where is Yahweh? They never asked this again, which is Aye. Where is Yahweh? They never asked this. Okay. The guardians of the teaching, which means they were the guardians of what they got here, the HaTorah. That's the teaching. They never asked, where's Yahweh? And the reason why they didn't ask themselves where Yahweh was is because they're the guardians of what Yahweh has said. And based on them not guarding what Yahweh says, now the land is defiled because the Torah is not being followed. What does this mean for you and I? It means that Yah is trying to give us an understanding that no matter how you and I look at it, okay, the Torah is what keeps us from being defiled. If you and I would follow the Torah 100% in our land, the way he tells us, then we could prevent the land from being defiled. And thus you and I would be able to have a residence there. Okay. And we'd be able to stay there. When the land is defiled, the teachings are not followed. Okay. That's what he's telling us. That's how important the Torah is. The Torah can cause a person either to stay clean and purified and go through those processes, or if the Torah is not being taught, then defilement is going to be part of it. Okay, so now we see is that the leaders are not following what Yahweh said, because the question is where's Yahweh? And he's asking this as a rhetorical question because, of course, anybody who should have known where Yahweh was is these individuals. And Yah's letting us know, if you want to know where I am, you should know that I'm the Elohim who brought you out of Mitzrayim. This is the difference between me and all these other gods that are out here. Because remember, my people are under a delusion. Okay. The rulers rebelled against me. So I have the priests who rebel against me. I have, which are supposed to be the guardians of the Torah. Then I have the rulers who rebelled against me. They're against me too. And who else is against me? The prophets. And they're prophesying by Baal, and Baal means Lord, Lord. That's who they're prophesying by. They're not prophesying by Yahweh, they're prophesying by Baal. The reason why the land is becoming defiled, and the reason why the priests have forgotten where Yahweh is, and they haven't guarded the Torah, is simply because everybody's following a false god. This is the vapor that he's talking about. This is what you would be the one who would lose their breath. Remember, he said that my people, they make idols, and they're going to become like those idols. They're going to become nothings. Okay. So the idol that our people follow is found in the book of Corinthians. Okay. And let me finish this point here though, before I go. So the rulers, they rebelled against me. The priests haven't guarded what I said. And this is chapter number 2 of Yeremiyahu. And the prophets have prophesied by Baal and followed what can do no good. Lo yo'ilu hakalu. They followed after that, which is not any good for them. That's not going to be beneficial to them. When we don't follow the Torah, we don't guard the Torah, and our rulers are not following the Torah, and our rulers are and everyone's following Baal, another god, that means that you're going to ignore Yahweh. The only way that you and I can get out of this is simply get rid of the god, because the god that the nations are following, or these other nations are following, is a god of that doesn't exist. That's just the truth. Okay, they don't exist. And Yah has an indictment, and he has to accuse his people of this indictment. He's going to bring them to court. Here's something I wanted to show you right quick in the book of Corinthians. I was reading this Greek document, and one of the things that I wanted to show you again to prove that our Elohim is not what they would say, the God of the New Testament. The God of the New Testament His name is Theos. That's his name. This is his name right here. Okay. They have here God, just so everyone can think it's the same thing. His name is not that. His name is Theos. Like Thanos off of, the, whatchamacallit, Marvel. His name is Theos. That's who they call. This is who Paul is talking about. Sorry for this screen moving around like this. Okay. And what's interesting is no one knows what the origin of this word comes from. It's of an unknown origin, but the name of their God is called Theos. So anytime you read the New Testament, understand that this is not Elohim, which is Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, which is his name forever. And you can find that in Exodus chapter number 3, verse number 15 and 16. Okay. His name is Yahweh forever. This one here is called Theos. That's the God that they have. Okay. And at that time, they had access, and you and I both know this, that the Greeks had access to the Torah, and they could easily put in the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, but they never did because that's not the God that they serve. Okay. Their Christ, their Messiah is called Christos. And the name of their Christos is called, put it in English right here as J-U-S-U-S, but that's not his name. In some of the texts, you might see them put Yahusha or something like that, or Yeshua. Okay. That's just them trying to cover up the fact that the Greek scriptures and text writes and tells you what his name is. Okay. Here's his name right here. Okay. This is his name. This is English, but that's not his name. Just like the name over here is not God. His name is Theos. That's his name. His name is Theos, and he has a son. Okay. And here's the name of his son. It's not J-U-S-U-S. That's just to get you off of the scent. Here's the name of the son. His name is Iezus. That's his name. Iezus. Right here. If you want the phonetic on it, it's right here. Okay. So then they says, oh, it's J-U-S-U-S. That's not it. They say his name is Joshua. That's not it. Okay. His name is, they said it's the Greek form of Joshua or JC, or the son of Eleazar, JC surname Justice. Okay. And then they got these other things and saying, well, his name, if you translate his name, then it is Yaheshua. But that's not his name. When they wrote these, and remember, this is a website. This is BibleHub.com. Okay. So they're going to go through and justify what this is. But in the Greek text, it tells you that this is the name of this son. This is Theos' son's name. That's his name. Okay. Now let me show you what he is. Okay. They said he's the Messiah.
There's another thing there.
Huh? What's that?
I said, doesn't Iesus mean like El Zeus?
Yeah, well, it's several meanings. If you break his name down, it means pig. It means, all kind of stuff. It's Greek in its origin. Okay. But here's the name of the God. His name right here is, and they call him Kyrios. Okay. For Lord. That's his name. That's what he is. And this is what Yah's talking about. Here's Kyrios right here. That's the name. Calling on the name of our Kyrios. Kyrios is the Lord and Master. Okay. That's what a Kyrios is. So when you see in their New Testament, they will call him the Lord. Okay. It's saying that he's the master. So when you get into a covenant, this will be your new master. This will be your new Lord. And he's the one who will hold you responsible and who's supposed to govern your life. And as a result of him being our master and being our Lord, it means that Yah is no longer your master. Yahweh is not called Kyrios. Yahweh's name is not that. Yahweh's name is Adonai. Okay. And Adonai meaning master. He's our Adon, right? He's the master of masters. So what they're doing is they're doing a word play. Okay. So they'll give you the definition. So you'll think, oh, well, this is just, this is the same as a master in the Old Testament. It's the same thing. But I need you to listen very carefully what it says. And they're letting you know. This kurios that people are going to is exercising absolute ownership rights. So when you turn yourself over to Christos or Jesus, Christos, his name is Jesus Christos. His father's name is Theos, and he is now your kurios. Okay, he is your owner. That's what you're saying. That's what Christians are saying. Okay, and that's what we used to say until we found out we made a mistake and said, no, that's not he doesn't have complete ownership over us. Okay, just wanted to show you that that's what Yah is making reference to when he says that they're prophesying by Baal, meaning a master. Someone else is giving a different message. Now he tells us something in verse number 9 back in Jeremiah, which is the second Naum. God says, oh, I will go on accusing you. Okay. This accusation that Yah is making is called Ariv, and Riv. Riv means to be in an argument or contention. I'm making an argument in a case against you. I'm going to accuse you. Okay. You, plural, right? No'um. This means in the future. Okay. Where in the future is? The first future was in verse number 3 saying, guess what? If you touched Israel and was my first fruit, I'm going to bring an evil upon you. That's going to happen in the future. This Nahum right here is saying in the future, I'm going to bring you to court, house of Yaakov. Remember, he's talking to, remember he said, oh, house of Jacob, of Yaakov, I'm talking to you. So I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do before I'm going to do it. And I'm talking to the families, which is the Mishpachah of Yisrael. So he's still having a conversation with us today. The Naum here means I'm about to take you to court. That's what this Ariv is. Ariv is an argument. And Yah doesn't have arguments with people until he brings them to court. So he says, when you go to court, then you bring your case and I'll bring mine. But I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to bring this argument against you, this Ariv against you and your sons and your children's children, even down to your grandchildren. And guess what I'm going to do it in? I'm going to do it in the future. That's what a declaration is, a Noum is. That's the second one. That's number 2. Okay. So let's listen. Now that we know that he's going to take us to court and he's going to hold a case against us and our children and our children's children. Okay. That's down to 3 generations. Okay. The reason why he's going to hold this case against all these individuals that he mentions here is simply because they have abandoned Yahweh and they have forgot about him and they have been listening to this in particular God. Okay. Verse number 10 says this. We're going to get to our third Nahum. He says, just cross over the islands of Kittim and I need you to look. Okay. And look and send to Kedar and observe carefully and see if aught like this has ever happened. And what is he talking about? Well, what we've read is that they've abandoned Yahweh, they're rebelled against him, they haven't asked where he is, and they're listening to Baal now, and they're listening to this other Lord. This is going to be kind of maybe upsetting for you. Kittim is from the family of what they call in English Javan, or Hebrew Yavan, and Yavan are the Greeks. Okay. He mentions Kedar. Kedar is one of the families from Keturah. Keturah was one of Abraham's wives. It was his last wife, and he had a whole bunch of sons. And out of those sons was the Midians and Kedar and all these Arabs. And the thing that he wants us to understand is on both sides of the world, you can see 2 different types of people. He said, I need you to observe carefully and see if anything like this has ever happened. And he's going to tell us exactly what's happened. This is the argument that he's making with them, okay, with us. The question he asked was, has any nation changed its gods, even though they're no gods, meaning that they don't exist? Okay. And so I'm asking you, has the Kittim ever changed? Has Kittim ever changed their gods?
No.
Have these Greeks and these Romans ever changed their gods that don't exist? So when he says the Kittim, and let me show you right here. When he says Kittim, he's letting you know off the top. Listen, remember, this is a future case. That's why it was a Naum in verse number 9. He's letting you know that this is the accusation I have against you. Kedar didn't change their God. The Greeks didn't change their God. And he's saying their gods are no gods at all. So when I just showed you the Greek text, and they're acting as if their God, Kyrios, and Theos, and Iezus, and Christos, they're saying that those are their gods, and they have never changed, and they will never change this idea. That's the reason why over the centuries, the Greek text, which they call the New Testament, has never changed. This never changed. They've never said, well, let's go ahead and make sure that we change and put the name of the creator in there. How many years have they had to make it right if they knew that if this is the Elohim of the Hebrews, which Yahweh declares that he is, he names himself Yohe-Wahe, why isn't his name in those texts? His name is not in those texts because Yahweh is not in those texts. Those nations have never changed their gods, and their gods are no gods at all. But then he says something. This is going to be the argument in the future because he's taking us to court. He says, but my people have exchanged its glory for what can do no good. Meaning that you and I, our ancestors, and even our people today, have decided that they're going to exchange something living for that which doesn't exist. That's what he's saying. And that is the argument. That's the case that I'm going to bring against you and your son and your son's sons and your great-grandchildren. I'm going to bring this case against you. Okay. And then because of this, he then declares to the heavens, he tells the heavens to be appalled at this, to be in shock and to be awed and to be terrified and horrified and be utterly confused and dazed, says Yahweh. Here it is. Is that regular says, or is that a Naum? That's a Naum. So what is a Naum? A Naum is a future declaration. I'm telling you. So here, let me break it down. If this is a future declaration, right? A future statement that Yah says, I'm going to bring it to pass. The reason why he wants the Shamayim, which is the heavens, to be appalled at this and to be horrified and utterly dazed, Naum Yahweh, is because when he brings this court charge, when he brings this charge against us, the heavens are going to give testimony. And when he tells them to be horrified and to be utterly dazed, right now they haven't been horrified. As you go outside and you look right now, the sky is just moving right along, isn't it? The clouds come in regular, not a problem. So he's talking to the heavens. And you can look in Psalms number 50, and he tells the heavens that they're going to be the righteous witness. So anytime he speaks to the heavens, folks, he's letting us know, especially in a Naum, he's letting us know that this is a coming judgment. That's what he's talking about. Yah's judgment is going to be on his people who have exchanged their glory, Yahweh, for what can do no good. For what? The Havel. That's what he's going to do. For that which doesn't exist. That's what he's saying. That's the charge. You say, well, how does this apply to me? Well, he's getting you prepared to let you know that when I come and I bring this what I said, Ariv, I'm going to keep writing Ariv. This Riv right here is contention, and it's an argument, and it's to plead a case. It's a court case, okay? That's why he's calling the heavens at this and telling them they should be shocked and appalled and horrified and utterly dazed because of what Yah is going to do. He's telling them to get prepared. And he's going to tell what his people have done. What have my people have done? My people have done two things. They have done two things. The two things that they have done, the first thing is, and he's still talking, that they have forsaken me. That's the first thing that the people have done. That's out of number one. He said twofold, meaning two things, two wrongs that they've done. The first thing they have done is they've forsaken me. I'm a fountain of living waters. What makes living waters living waters? Somebody tell me. What makes living waters living waters?
Life.
Yes, life, life like fish and plant life. Everything that's in it is alive. You understand? You see? So living waters mean waters that are living. And Yah's letting us know that the fountain of living waters, that's they've forsaken me. I'm the fountain of living waters. So when you would go to living waters, if you had a war or you went there to, cleanse yourself, but you also will go there to drink from it and to be refreshed and to be brought to some vitality. Okay. But Yah is making mention of his living waters because he's the Elohim of that which is living. Okay. But he says they've done this. They forsook me. Right. And now they've hewn themselves cisterns. So now instead of going directly to the river, because where were you going to find the living waters? This is how you need to start reading the text. Where would you find living waters? A fountain of living waters. Like a river. You might find it in a stream. You're going to find it there, okay? You go find it in those things, okay? So this is what is making reference of, okay? He said, but what they did, instead of going to me, the living waters and the streams, like David said, that you're my shepherd, I shall not want. You make me to lie down by green pastures. You leadeth me by this still waters. You restoreth my soul. Through what? Through the waters. He says what they've done is they've constructed them out cisterns. So cisterns are used to hold water. Okay. So now you've getting vessels. They're holding these waters, but they're broken. That's which cannot hold even water. And he's going to tell you who those cisterns are. Okay. So why would somebody leave the living waters to go to that which is a cistern and broken? That's the question for us. Why would we abandon that which is living to go that which is in the cisterns is dead? It's dead. Why? Because the water is not moving. It's just stale. It's just right there. They have access to it, but it's not moving. It's not circulating. Okay. It doesn't come and, leave and then more waters come through. It's never flowing. All right. So he says those are the two evils. Now, the two cisterns, he's going to tell us what it is. So we don't have to guess. But before he does that, he asks a question. Is Israel a bondservant or a bondman? Is he a slave? Were you born to be a slave? Is he a homeborn slave? And the answer to that is no. Then he says, why is he given over to plunder? Why are people roaring at him? Why are the lions roaring at him? Why have cities been raised their cries? And why have they made his land a waste? He's talking about how Israel at this time is being overran by their enemies. And the reason why they are being overran by their enemies is simply because of them abandoning Yahweh. Verse 16, those two Anaph and Tapachanes, which has to do with Egypt, will lay bare your head. Those are the young lions he's talking about. He says, see that the price you have paid, this is the price that you paid for forsaking Yahweh, your Elohim, while he led you in the way. Now, the forsaking of Yahweh brings upon our enemies, right? And he's letting them know that this is the reason why it happened. But the reason why these two cisterns that you have, one is Egypt and the other one is the Assyrians. Okay. So one is Egypt and the other one is Assyria. Those are the two cisterns, because he says, why are you drink the waters of the Nile? What is good of your going to Assyria, Ashur, so you can drink the waters of the Euphrates? What's interesting about this is that according to Yahweh's land grant, when he granted Abraham the land, he told him that your land will be from the Nile of the river of Egypt all the way to the Euphrates rivers. So one is on the west and this other one here is on the east. And Israel or Yisrael was right in between the two in terms of being their location. So the rivers and the streams of knowledge and understanding and wisdom that they were getting from their own land, they weren't going to their land anymore to get the wisdom and knowledge. They have abandoned Yahweh. Okay. And because when you abandon Yahweh, Yahweh will deny you of the wisdom and the knowledge. So when they weren't able to get this wisdom and knowledge, because of course they left the Torah and they abandoned it, like he said, they went to the west and they went to the east. They went to someone else to get the knowledge. And that's what happens when you serve another God. Okay. Well, the point that I want to share with you and to bring out is those Na'ums. Okay. Because Yah is still having a conversation with Israel here. Okay. 19. He says, let your misfortune reprove you and let your afflictions rebuke you. Mark well how bad and bitter it is that you have forsaken Yahweh your Elohim. For the fear of me, which they got I here, but it's really fear. The fear of me is not in you. Okay, declares Yahweh of hosts here. That's the problem. The reason why that's a problem, everyone, is because they're not telling you that Yah says, Na'um, the master, and he calls himself Yahweh Zavaoth. According to our studies that you and I have been learning over the last several weeks, Yahweh has his name when he says he'll either call himself your master, okay, which here Adonai means master. He's reminding them that I'm your master. And how is he reminding them? When is he going to remind them that he's their master? I'm going to remind you that I'm your master when this Na'um takes place. I'm trying to paint a picture. The first Na'um was what? Verse number 3. What was the first Na'um? That anybody to touch Israel, they're guilty. And I'm going to bring evil upon you. Okay. The second Na'um, where's that at? Verse number 9. Am I correct?
Yes, Jeremiah 2:9.
Okay, what did he say in 2:9? What did he say? Let's go there. What did he say?
You have to argue your case.
I'm going to argue my case with you. Thank you. Right here. I'm about to have an argument with you. Okay. And then we go all the way down. And here's the other one. Verse 12. Here's another known. Be appalled. That's the future. I'm making a declaration about what the heavens are going to do. Okay. Then he accuses the people what they've done, right? By forsaking him and going to other gods. We go all the way down to where we were in verse number 19. This is the fourth one. The fourth one here is, listen, let your misfortune reprove you. Let your afflictions rebuke you. Mark well how bad and bitter it is, not was. It is that you forsake Yahweh your Elohim, that the fear of me is not in you, declares Yahweh Zavaoth, not Yahweh or the Lord God of hosts. Yahweh Zavaoth is making a Na'um, and he's telling them, first of all, I am your master. You've been serving these other gods of Baal, and you've been going, and because you serve Baal, you've abandoned me to go to these other gods. And you're also not only going to these other gods, but you're consulting your enemies. You're consulting Mizraim and you're consulting Ashur, both of the ones who are attacking you. And I'm trying to let you know that those two individuals that you went to, those two countries that you went to go get your consultation to guide you in your way, you've abandoned living water to go for that which is in a broken cistern, meaning they don't have any wisdom. But what I'm going to show you is that you don't fear me. You don't have any fear of me. It's not in you. That word I is fear. You don't have any fear of me. Okay. And because you don't have any fear of me, I'm going to show up as your master. And I'm also going to show up as this one, Yahweh Zavaoth. Somebody tell me what Yohe Zawaoth means. What does Zavaoth mean?
Armies.
Armies. So Yahweh now is using the term army of armies. So when we read, I want you to understand, this is why you need to understand the Hebrew. When you look at, just take a glance. You can read the English, but go back and look at these words like Na'um. And what you're going to find out is you see we have 4 Naums. Okay. One, I'm telling the nations, I'm going to hurt you. You're guilty. Right. The second one is I have an argument. I'm going to bring Israel to court. The third one is I got to bring my witnesses, which is the heavens. Okay. And after that, I'm letting you know that I'm coming I'm going to show you how bitter it is, because for you not to fear me means I got to show up for you to fear me like I did. When did Yahweh show up and Israel became very afraid of him?
Mount Sinai.
Sinai. Yes, Mount Sinai. See, so the reason why he's mentioning I'm the one who brought you out of Mizraim is because the same one that brought us out of Mizraim is the same one who's going to come and to bring us to court and hold us accountable for what we've done. And he's using the heavens. The heavens are going to be the ones that are going to declare his righteousness. Okay. That's what I'm trying to show you. So this is a prophetic preview in the text that you and I would never think to look at, because we're looking, well, Yahweh says, Elohim says, the Lord God says, the God of hosts. That means it's just a regular conversation. Yahweh's not having a regular conversation in these 20 verses. He's not. He's telling Israel exactly what's going to happen to them, right? And what? And he addressed it to who? Who did he address this argument to? Here it is in verse number 4. Again, he is addressing, hear the word, this is a command. Hear the word of Yahweh, house of Yaakov, and then the house and the families of the house of Israel. That's all the children of Israel, male, female, children, old, young, everybody. Okay. Yah's talking about here, the bloodline. That's the bloodline. Okay. Yaakov, house of Israel, is the one who has the eternal destiny. The families with the destiny. I have to bring you into judgment, and I'm going to do it. Okay. Now, I know for those of you who don't know the Hebrew, you're like, well, what does all this mean? I mean, you're saying stuff I've never heard before. And how can I prove? How can you prove what you're saying? Because you're saying it, but I don't know the language. So is it true? Yeah, it is true. I'll give you a real quick reference where you can read it for yourself, because this is not the only place where Yah has said this. I just found it over there in my studies. But listen what Yah says in Psalms 50. And he uses David and the Leviim to write it. Matter of fact, this is from one of the Leviim, is from the Psalm of Asaph. The mighty one, Elohim, Yahweh, is what? What is he doing? He's speaking. And guess what? And it says he's summoning. So he's summoning, right? He's summoning, meaning he's calling them to what? I'm calling you. When you get a summons in the mail to go to a traffic court, I'm summoning you. I'm summoning the world. From where? From the east to the west. Did I just not show you that they were going from the east to the west? And he says, out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, Elohim is shining forth. Our Elohim is coming. He's not staying silent. Yeah, it's been silent this whole time. Okay, remember I told you, he says, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to take you to court, but me and you ain't going to have a conversation about it until we get to court. Yah never calls anybody to just talk to them and judge them without taking them to court and having witnesses. Listen carefully. With a fire. When Yah comes, he's not saying silent. He's coming with a fire devouring ahead of him and a great storm raging around him, which is a picture of what? Mount Sinai. This is the only time Yah has ever come to the earth in fire that he's shown us and told us about. Okay. What does he do? In verse number, there's a storm is raging around him. It's not, some butterflies. Okay. Not a regular cloud. Like you see, say the Christos Iezus, because I'm going to call him by his name. His name is Iezus. His name is not JC. His name is Iezus. Iezus Christos, Kyrios, is coming. He's coming in a cloud, in a nice puffy cloud. our Elohim is not coming in a puffy cloud. He's coming with a storm that's raging around him. He's coming in a storm, okay? And he's going to tell you where the storm's coming from. He calls to what? Verse number 4, who's he calling to? He's calling to the heavens, the Shamayim, and he's calling to the earth. Why is he calling, number one, the heavens to the earth? Why?
They're his witnesses.
They're his witnesses. Because he says, I won't do nothing without 2 or 3 witnesses. So I'm going to call on the heavens, because the heavens, I've been telling the heavens what you've been doing. And guess how we know that the heavens is a faithful witness? Because Yah says, if you don't do what I say, the heavens will not bring forth any rain on the land. How do you know that the earth is the witness? Because if the heavens don't bring any rain on the land, the earth doesn't produce anything. When there's no rain and there's no produce, then Yah says that I'm not with you, because there is no blessing. How do you know that the heavens are a great witness? The airwaves, they hear everything. That's how things travel. How do you know that the earth is a great witness? Because that's where Israel is. All the sins that are being done are done under the heavens, and every sin is being done on the earth. Where's the blood being spilled? All over the earth. That's why he's calling the east to the west. And the only reason he's calling them is in order to judge his people. So I'm going to call my witnesses. So this is what he tells them. Gather to me, my faithful, those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Where? At Mount Sinai. No other covenant. The heavens. So you say, well, the covenant is done away, but no, it's not, because it's the very covenant right here that he says, the ones who made a covenant with me. It's still good. Our covenant with him is good. The heavens proclaim his righteousness. For Elohim himself is judge. How is the heavens going to proclaim his righteousness? How? What is the heavens going to do? Remember, Yah just told us over in Jeremiah that he told the heavens, be aghast, be utterly dazed, be appalled at what you've seen. The heavens and everything in the heavens are going to move and to shake and to rattle. And guess what? Yah is bringing fire from the heavens. Like he did when he showed up on Mount Sinai. When he was there, the clouds came down, it was Arafel, and there was fire. So I'm coming to judge my people. He tells his people, listen, my people. Remember, he told the heavens, be appalled at what my people have done. I'm speaking, Yisrael. I'm testifying against you. I, Elohim, your Elohim. I'm your Elohim. I'm your master. I'm the one. And listen what he says. I'm not rebuking you for your sacrifice. So when people talk about, what about the sacrifice? That you don't have any more sacrifice. Christ is our sacrifice. Jesus Christos is our sacrifice. Well, you can have Jesus, because Yah says, I'm not rebuking you for your sacrifices. Your burnt offerings are always before me. They will never leave my sight, because that's how me and you became in a covenant. That's how I made a covenant with your father Abraham. Your covenant was by sacrifice. You understand? They're always going to be before me. They're never leaving. Burnt offerings will always be before me. I have no need for a bull. I don't need a bull from you. I don't need anything from your farm. I don't need any male goats from your pens. All the forest creatures are mine already, like I told you. All the animals on 1,000 hills, they're mine. I know all the birds in the mountains, so you don't have to worry about giving me a turtle dove or a pigeon. They're all mine in the mountains. Whatever moves in the fields is mine. And if I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you. Why? Because I told you the same thing that I told you before. The whole world is mine and everything in it. Ask the question, do I eat the flesh of bulls and drink the blood of goats? No. Offer thanksgiving as your sacrifice to Elohim and pay your vows to the Most High. And call on me when you're in trouble, and I will deliver you, and you will honor me. But to the wicked, Elohim says, what right do you have to proclaim my laws, my kukim, or take my covenant on your lips when you so hate to receive instruction and fling my words behind you? And then he goes on and say what's going to happen to them. But in closing, he says this, verse 21. He says, when you do such things, should I stay silent? You may have thought I was just like you, meaning a human being. But I will rebuke you and indict you to your face. Consider this, you who forget Elohim. Because remember, this is what we read in Jeremiah. You consider this. Consider what? What I'm telling you right now. Or I will tear you to pieces with no one to save you, which goes back to the song that we have in Deuteronomy chapter number 32 in verse number 19, where he says, no one will be able to deliver you from my hand. I bring life and I also kill. I actually heal, but I also wound. No one can, if I wanted to destroy, no one can save you from my hand. He's saying no one's ever going to save you for those who forget Elohim. See, so whoever offers thanksgiving as a sacrifice honors me, and to who goes the right way, I will show the salvation. The salvation of Yahweh is the actual him coming. Whoa, what an awesome picture you had. Is him coming to save his people. So in a small recap, I know it's a little quick. Yah is telling Israel, you can read the chapter number 2 of Jeremiah again. Okay, and read it in the Bible Hub so you can find it in Na'um. Anytime you see that word Na'um, a noon, and then the aleph, and then the mem, when you see those, that one, Yah is making a prophetic utterance to tell you what he's going to do. Anytime he uses the word, his name, Yahweh Zavaoth, that means the judgment. That means battle. That means armies, because we serve a king. And so sometimes he'll speak to us like Yahweh says this and Yahweh said this. But every time he mentions Yahweh Zavaoth, that means that I'm coming to bring war. I'm coming to bring destruction. So in Jeremiah chapter number 2, Yah has said, I have an argument with you, house of Israel, and the house of Yaakov and the families of Israel. I have some contention with you. If you serve another God and you forget me, the nations haven't forgot their God. So why are you going after something that doesn't exist? When you have something that does exist, why are you going to get counsel from someone from the Greeks and the Romans and get counsel from the Africans and from the Syrians and the Arabs when I'm your counselor? My Torah is your counselor. My Torah is what you forgot. That's why I asked the priest why they haven't asked for Yahweh. No one, they forgot him. And Yah's letting us know, don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't serve another God. If you serve any other God, I'm going to destroy you, because you're going to become like those gods. Those gods are nothing, and therefore they're going to be vapor. They're going to be nothing. I'm going to vaporize everything that's nothing. I'm going to burn it all up. And that ties into our Torah portion, where Yah tells the children of Israel, when you cross over into this land, I need you to what? I need you to tear down. I need you to pull up. I need you to burn. I need you to cut down their statues and their altars, and I need you to get rid of that. Otherwise, if you don't do that and you don't get rid of them, I'm going to do to you what I intended to do to them. That's not a threat. That is a promise. You understand? So that's what Jeremiah is telling us. And that's what Yah is warning us about. Because those no'ums are prophetic. You see? So you got to make up your mind. You can't consult. You can't abandon Yah for that which doesn't exist. So the Jesus Christos, Kyrios, the Lord, the Kyrios over there, that's not our Elohim. That's not our Elohim. And they know what his name is, but they intentionally not put it there because that's not the God that this is a new God. The God that they serve is a new God that allows them to do what they want to do. And as I've been saying and been teaching, when Israel follows another God, they're going to defile Yahweh's land, and they're going to defile his name, and they're going to blaspheme his name. They're going to do all those different types of things. And the God that you serve is the conduct that you have. So I said in my last message, when we ended, I said, be careful, because if you try to get out of one point of what Yahweh says, that means that you're still holding on to what this other God said, and you think you're going to escape, and you're not going to escape. Yah's not going to let anybody escape, okay? I told you that the heavens are going to declare Yahweh's righteousness, and it is true. And here's more supportive evidence to let you sleep on, okay? He says it's in the book of Malachi, and he's very, very candid about it. he says a lot of things, but what was pretty telling was this. He says, for the day is coming, is burning like a furnace. There's a day. Salvation is a day. Okay. It's a day when Yah decides to come. He says, this day is going to burn like a furnace. Okay. All the proud and evildoers will be stubble. The day that is coming will set them ablaze with what? The sun. Yahweh Zava. I'm about to listen. You see it right here. Again, Yah's confirming his word right now. He's telling us Yahweh Zavaoth is right there. Remember, I told you anytime he mentions this name, this title, it's about his armies. And one of his armies and part of his army is the sun. Remember, he said that the sun declares his righteousness, proclaims his righteousness. Well, here it is. Yah says, I'm not going to leave them neither root nor branch. I'm not leaving a root or a branch. I'm burning them all the way down. A root means I'm getting rid of your family. Okay. And this is an extension of your family. The wicked, I'm burning them up. That's why they're the stubble. But he says, but to you who fear my name. And again, fear of Yahweh means to learn what Yahweh says. That's fearing Yah, learning what Yahweh says. Fearing Yah doesn't mean shaking, I'm afraid of Yah. No, fearing Yah means to learn and have some respect unto his name. Unto his name means, well, what is his name? His name is Yahweh Zavaoth. What's his name? His name is Yahweh. Well, what does Yahweh say? Well, keep the Shabbat, keep the diet. Husbands do this, wives do this, children do this. So a person that fears Yahweh, remember, he just told us that you guys don't fear me. You don't have any fear towards me. And because you don't have any fear towards me, the sun is going to set the wicked ablaze and all proud and evil doers. So I'm going to humble them. The sun of righteousness, because I'm going to use the sun. Because why is the sun righteous? Because the sun is a righteous witness. The sun does what I ask it to do. It raises up and it goes around the earth and sets when I tells it to set. It comes in a season. It meets all of its moedim. That's what it does. It follows my orders. And for you that fear me, the sun is going to work as righteousness for you. It will rise with healing in its wings for you. Okay. And you're going to break out leaping like calves released out of a stall. Why? Because and guess what's going to be underneath your feet? You're going to trample the wicked. Why? Because they're going to be the ashes under the soles of your feet on the day when I take action, says Yahweh Zavaoth. I'm going to burn everybody up on the face of the earth that I choose to burn up. And if you feared me, and if you learned from me, and you didn't play no games with me, and you were wholehearted with me, and you sought out the Torah of Moshe, like I'm about to tell you in verse number 4, I need you to remember the Torah of Moshe. That is in these quotation. I need you to remember this. This is what you and I should be remembering. This where I enjoyed it to him at Korev, which at Korev means sword. But the other name for Korev is Mount Sinai. That's another name for Korev, the place of the sword, where there was Kukim and Mishpatim for all Yisrael. The Torah is the instructions to show you the path to go. So Yah is telling you, I need you to follow the instructions of Moshe, because if you don't follow the instructions of what I enjoined to him at Koreh for all Yisrael, you're going to be that which is going to be destroyed. Because if you don't follow the Torah of Moshe, then that means something. It means that you do not fear me. And as a result of you not fearing me, I'm going to show up like I did for Eliyahu the prophet when he wanted to declare who I was. How did I come? I came down fire from heaven and I burned up all the offerings that were on that altar and the altar and the water, and they killed all the false prophets who were worshiping Baal. because it's going to be a great and terrible day of Yahweh. You see, he didn't say of Yahweh Zavaoth. Yahweh Zavaoth is why I'm pulling the trigger. You understand? That's what Yah's saying to us. Yes. And he says, if this didn't happen, if you and I listen, because I was going to just not read it, but I'm going to read it. Verse number 6. How can I not read it? He turns the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers. Why? If you remember the Torah. Otherwise, I will come and strike the land, meaning the earth, with a complete destruction. Here, they don't tell you that this land that he's talking about is the earth, and they don't tell you what complete destruction means. It means absolute 100% extermination of everything on the face of the earth. So if you and I do not turn back and remember the Torah, you and I have no way of surviving. And no one is going to teach this to you because they don't read the Torah. They don't study the Torah. That's why you're in the Torah. That's why you do the Torah during the week. It's because you're on a journey and you're on a path. So when Yah starts talking to us, you and I will be able to hear it. Would we have ever known what was in Jeremiah chapter number 2 if we didn't know the Torah portion? Will we have been able to put it together? You would never.
No.
You would never know. So because you fear Yahweh and you're learning from Yahweh, he's bringing us on a path to show us different things, to tell you exactly. He says, I do nothing. I will not do anything without letting it first be revealed to my prophets. That's in the book of Amos. I'll tell you what I'm going to do before I do it. That's the benefit of being Israel. You and I are not going in the dark on this. Yah says, I'm light. The Torah is light to lead you back out and to lead you to the path where I need you to go. Just think about what's coming. I told you, you guys worried about these other wars? It's a bigger war that's coming. It's Yahweh Zavaoth's war. And this is wars against the nations. I ain't gonna hold you any longer. This Shabbat, we're gonna get into a series that I'm gonna put together talking about the servant. And us, we're not in service, but we are Yahweh's servant. And we're going to be dealing with Isaiah chapter number 53. So I'm going to break that down. And I'm going to break out what he's talking about, the salvation that he's talking about, the suffering servant he's talking about. And it ties in with our Torah portion. It ties into what those 4 no'ums are that Yah says that I'm going to bring a case against you. I'm going to bring salvation to you, but I'm going to bring a case to you. I'm going to save my people, my faithful people. Anybody who has not been faithful to Yahweh will be destroyed. So he's asking us to give ourselves an opportunity, a choice, and a chance to make things right. And don't be like your ancestors. Your ancestors were wicked and they were evil. Okay. And he says they were evil and they had evil plots. And the reason why we should know for 100% certainty they were evil and wicked is because you and I did not get his name revealed to us by them. They didn't reveal his name. They did not tell you his name. It's by the mercy and the compassion of Yahweh that you and I know his name. He's revealed his name to us like he did to the children of Israel at the beginning while they were in their bondage. So they would know that Yah says, I hear you, I see you, and I know what's going to happen. But I want to warn you before I come. I want to tell you when I'm going to come. And I got a time that I've made to happen. I got a day that I picked, and you guys can't pick that day. But did you guys see, did I send you guys the article that said that the earth is spinning around faster? It's no longer 24 hours a day. Did I send anybody that article?
Yeah, I saw that article.
Yeah, guess what? The earth is spinning faster. So remember a few weeks ago, I told you I prayed and asked you, I don't know what the time is that you're coming, but I do ask that you speed up time. My prayer has been answered. Yah's hastening. He's speeding up things so he can bring about his.
I didn't get.
So